Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the CIL, the Collegiate iRacing League. For tonight, the finale of the GT3 Challenge for the spring 2022 season. And what a fitting place to have a finale. It's Interlagos here down in Brazil. Joining me up in the booth, Christian Hill, Josh Crane, and John Price back again. And John, it is good to have you back.
Yeah, good to be back again, and especially happy to be here for the finale race here tonight on the CIL, Jared. I can tell you that much. It's going to be a fun one out here at Interlagos. Nice weather for these guys tonight. 65-degree ambient temp, 89-degree track temp, which is significantly cooler than I think a lot of these guys were expecting for this. So that's going to help out quite a few drivers throughout the night to find a little bit of extra grip where they might need it around this 2.6-mile track in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So pretty interesting track, I'd say overall. One of my personal favorites. You've got a lot of places to overtake. We've seen a lot of F1 action here in recent years, potentially end in tragedy or in victory for some, depending on the situation. But down through the S's, it's interesting. There's a chance on the inside for 1. Down into 4, there's a chance on the inside. 6, 7, 8, 9 are difficult to overtake at. But then you've got that long run out of Jonesau in turn 12 through 13 and 14 onto the main straight. I think that's going to provide us with a lot of interesting overtakes down into turn 1, like I mentioned a moment ago. But at the same time, the GT3 cars, a little bit tougher to pass than some other cars on the iRacing surface. The draft isn't quite as strong as other cars, but it's still going to be pretty powerful down in turn 1 with as long of a straight as there is. But either way, it's going to be fun to watch. And Jared, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, looking forward to it indeed. On your screen now, you see the students flying out for their qualifying runs. Group qualifying here in the CIL, so all cars out on track at the same time. The first 10 minutes just completed of qualifying. That was your alumni drivers. So those two guys, George Nimmer, Carl Limcool, alumni drivers signified by those red windshield banners and spoilers, as well as the 3-digit numbers. A couple more alumni you'll see here tonight. Alex Clank and Nick Beaver did not set a qualifying time, so we'll see them before it's said and done. And the students out on track now. Josh?
Students back out on track and using all that track, as you can see there. Sean Campbell in the 30 machine for Randolph College, getting ready for tonight. Big night for him. Not too tricky. A little bit of a wiggle from that R8. Not too tricky to defend his championship tonight in that Nicolas Cage helmet, but he's going to try his best and in a good spot to do so. So perhaps we'll be able, as he warms up those tires and gets some spacing to the car in front of him, perhaps we'll be able to speak with him in a couple functions later this evening. But yeah, looking good. Also want to shout out North Dakota State back on board after a small hiatus. Nick Beaver back behind that car and back from headquarters, I think. So looks like Sean Campbell is coming to his lap now.
Yeah, we'll see what he chooses to do with the DRS board there. He's hugging pretty tight to the inside wall and just barely misses it. I think he's just still having some fun here. Just now starting his lap down here into turn 1, looking for that 50 board on the right, and then wait for that turn in. Got to be patient with the steering, and then not too abrupt on the direction change downhill for turn 2. Very easy to get the car upset over the bumps on the inside of that corner, and then you just hug turn 3 all the way around the track as you set up on the right-hand side for turn 4. Seen a lot of overtakes happen here over the years. Looks for that access road there on the right-hand side to start breaking down to 3rd gear. Carry the speed in there. Careful with the off track there. Very easy to pick one up. And now keep that line nice and tight as you head up the hill, turns turn 6. Very fast entry, just a tap of brake, 1 downshift, and then you throw the car in there, trying to keep it tight. Is the line that Sean Campbell looks like he wants to take there. Run it back out wide for the exit, and then take as much apex curb on 8 as you possibly can. Now a long left-hander corner 9, a lot of camber in there, and then run it all the way back out to the outside to set up for 10. And then again, turn in very early, take as much curb on the inside as you can get away with. Very hard to get the car down to the apex there, and now a long full throttle run through turn 11, comes downhill, swing outside, use some extra track there for the last real corner of the track, turn 12. Carry some speed in there because it's going to set up your entire run down this straight. You see Sean sticking to the inside there very wisely, trying to minimize the distance to the line. I'm sure this is going to be a quick lap from him. I don't think I saw any off tracks on this one. So again, hugging the inside as much as he can, almost more than I'd ever seen before, I would say. And that's going to throw his time up there with a 1:30.45, fastest by 8/10 so far this session. Kyle Bonin there in second place for Clemson. It's a really strong drive from Kyle, but that's what we've come to see and know from Campbell is just outright speed in the qualifying lap, outright speed throughout the race. And I wouldn't be too surprised if he comes home with a victory here tonight, guys.
No, not surprising at all as we get set up. Looks like about 6 minutes left in qualifying here as we get these cars ready to run. You can see Sean Campbell and then Clemson University running P2 right now, and that's who you're looking at, Kyle Bonin, that John has just mentioned. Also in P4, Clemson University via Justin Roberts. But I'll tell you what, North Carolina State University, we saw him mixing it up on the oval side last week. And tonight, Matthew Nordberg has got his Audi currently just a 10th off of pole right now. Sorry, a 10th off of P2, very close to Kyle Bonin, who's actually just done a new fast lap. Kyle Bonin and Clemson with a 1:31.178. So, gentlemen and Christian, it's going to be pretty competitive this evening, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this is the end all. Like, this is the last race of the season. I think everyone's going to try to throw everything they have at this race tonight. I'm expecting a decent amount of dirty racing, and I think. I mean, people are going to try to fight for that last little bit of spot, little bit of points, and I think people are going to try to push it past the normal limit. This is all they have.
Yeah, everybody wants the final coins as they get into the championship, and everybody feels the excitement. But it's gonna be fun to watch. I think we're gonna be in a good spot as we get on board now. A couple drivers we have, as you can see, Justin Roberts, we mentioned earlier, looks like he's on an out lap, and so he'll be coming to see if he can take this. Ryan Whitlock also has had a really, really strong showing, John, in that Lamborghini. For the University of Alabama at Huntsville. We know he's no stranger to speed on the oval side as you see him there, but Ryan Whitlock going to put some laps down and had, John, I got to say we had a tough bit of luck through a couple races, but let's see if he can put one together tonight. He's got space, a little bit of a longer track with a little bit of a lighter field as everybody comes back from spring break and takes final midterms. So looking good for these guys.
Yeah, definitely a much-needed break for many of these students. Ryan Whitlock, like you said, though, he's been really strong this season. He's become more of like a Cohen Evans type figure, I think, for me, just generally quietly finishing in higher positions, typically speaking, and typically qualifying pretty well as well. So, yeah, Alabama at Huntsville has been looking good this season. I'm hoping they have a strong finish here tonight. That would be a great way to cap off this season for them. And actually, as I said, Cohen Evans, he's just behind him there on track. I think Ryan is going to abort this next lap and let Cohen's fly by him here on the left-hand side. That Porsche, that famous livery that we've come to know and love for a long time here on the side, that number 17 car. Looking good out there for IUPUI. Cohen Evans, I mean, guys, how many times have we said it? Just cool, calm, collected, the silent assassin out there. He doesn't have to start up too far up the field, but he almost always finishes pretty far up the field. Generally a top 5 finish from Cohen Evans. He gets it pretty sideways coming to the top of the corner there and very sideways on the entrance. I suspected some slightly overheated rear tires through the last couple of sections of corners and maybe going for a rear wing change after that escapade there. Nick Patinella also been doing a good job here. Has had some pretty decent finishes recently. That BMW, one of the lone BMWs in the field, the only other driver being George Nimmer to choose the BMW. But it seems, Josh, like it's one of the quicker cars this season. In fact, especially in the normal iRacing series, whether it's fixed or open, that BMW is actually pretty quick.
Yeah, and that's what we have been hearing from a lot of the experts. It's really straightforward. It's almost like the Mercedes AMG was at one time, where those drivers were able to be very quick no matter the track. It's just a very comfortable car right now with a little bit of balance there, as you see on board Nick Patinella from Robert Morris University. They're making that BMW go fast. A couple others as well. So coming across the line, yeah, Nick Patinella looks like he won't improve on that one, but not far off of P9. And Robert Morris University looking good, just 2/10 back. So yeah, P10 right there. And then you can see Athena Leclerc. Looks like she is going to get maybe a cool down lap in. But yeah, just helps to keep those tires on the grass nice and cool. So a lot of these drivers getting ready and trying to figure out what lines work, and sometimes if they have a qualifying lap in that they're comfortable with, they can put the race setup on and get one more test run, see what that race trim feels like and what to expect. Obviously, can also go for that fast lap there at the end of qualifying, trying to get in the fast lap at the end. So a couple different strategies that we can see these drivers attack.
A couple different indeed. Sean Campbell back out for another lap. We don't usually see a second lap from Sean Campbell, but he feels like he might be under a little bit of pressure from the two Clemson guys right behind him. Hagen Johnson, actually just a moment ago, pipping Kyle Bonin for that second spot. Not by much, just under a tenth of a second rather, but enough to claim it. But we'll see what these guys have in store as we watch Athena Leclerc. Now on to Kyle Bonin, as I just mentioned a moment ago, trying to finish a lap. It's been a good lap for him. We see green sectors down here in his time bar. A little bit of flickering there, some internet issues over there in the Clemson area, but we'll see what this time comes up with. It was an improvement, a 30.9, so now he is 0.48 seconds off of Campbell and pips his teammate for that second position, starting alongside Sean Campbell. Just over 2 minutes to go in this session here, guys. Jarrett, it looks like it's going to come down to the wire, I think, for every position below third or so.
Yeah, I mean, you see it right there, just hundredths of seconds separating a bunch of these competitors, and we talked about just how tight this field is in the midfield. Not only out on track, but in points as well. Kyle Bonin currently sitting second in points, Cohen Evans in third. They're 1 point apart. Thomas Toomey, Hagen Johnson, Ryan Whitlock all separated by 11 points, and that's fourth, fifth, and sixth in the points. So a big night for each of these guys here tonight to be able to jump into maybe that top 5, maybe even that top 3 for a couple of these guys, frankly. But everyone chasing after Sean Campbell. Christian?
Sitting here watching, I've been watching Justin Roberts for a bit. You said about to 100th second. They're down to the 10,000th of a second between him and Alexander Klenk, both qualifying with a 131.506. But Justin Roberts, I assume, having that 10,000th of a second, being able to clinch him out. But if we remember back to Spa, Justin Roberts was, I believe, in the taking the lead into that second race, but ended up having to drop out because of. I think his VR broke, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's right, yeah.
So I'm excited to see what he can do, what he can come back with, and I assume with either monitors or a fixed VR.
So final laps here for a couple of these guys, trying to finish on up before that 22-minute mark crosses on the top left corner of your screen. And before we wrap things on up here at qualifying, let's take a look at all our CIL graduates here in Season 4, and they are on your screen now. A whole host of drivers, including Christian Hill, who's up here in the booth with us, Colin Kolpa, Matt Nordberg, Nathan Brungett, Nicholas Patinella, Santiago Perez, Thomas Toomey, Alejandro Vegas, Kyle Bonin, Parker Eaton, and Zachary Yarnigan, all graduating in the spring of 2022. Josh?
Yeah, super exciting, and one of my personal favorite times every season, being able to cover the guys and girls that are graduating at the end of whether it be this spring semester or the winter semester sometimes. But very exciting to see everybody and what they're doing, where they're going, and this networking opportunity that the CIL is, and see all these drivers compete on the track every Tuesday night.
Yeah, could not agree with you more there. So let's get you on back to the track and through our starting grid presented by InnoVetted Labs. You can check them out at InnoVetted.com. Starting off on pole here tonight is going to be Sean Campbell for Randolph Community College on his outside. Kyle Bonin from Clemson University. You're going to find out Clemson has a lot of drivers. Another one in third, Hagen Johnson. In the number 7 car, Matthew Nordberg from NC State rolls off fourth. Justin Roberts will start fifth here tonight. Alex Klenk, our first alumni, in sixth. Ryan Whitlock in the 81 machine rolls off seventh with one of our onboard cameras here tonight. Nicholas Patinella, another onboard camera from Robert Morris University in 8th. Cohen Evans, the silent assassin from IUPUI, rolls off 9th. And George Nimmer from Southern Illinois, he will start in 10th. Andrew Williams from Clemson University rolling off 11th. And it says Kyle Wood on your screen, but Jack Roush is actually filling in for Kyle Wood here tonight, so Jack will start in the 12th spot. The rest of your starting order, Nick Stockner from Clemson rolls off 13th. Athena Leclerc, she will start in 14th. Carl Lemkuhl from St. Louis University in 15th. Austin DeLong from the Penn College of Technology in 16th. 17th is Andrew Burrell from Clemson, and rounding out your field, Nick Beaver from North Dakota State University. Guys?
Yeah, it's going to be a hot one here tonight. Sean Campbell being assessed an EOL for a car change. He has chosen the Audi for tonight, which is different than his previous car. So while he may have qualified on pole here tonight, he will start from the back of the grid. Don't think it'll matter too much for him. A bit of a smaller grid here tonight, so fewer cars for this Audi here to work through in this first of 2 races here tonight. One 25-minute heat race and then another 25-minute feature race with a short warm-up period in between for some drivers to test out whatever setup changes they might find would benefit them from race 1. But a short outlap here, guys, to get the tires up to temperature, water temps up, and these guys' mindsets in the right zone to take the start of this race. But yeah, it looks like Sean has already dropped to the end of the field, so that means that Kyle Bonin is technically the pole sitter for this race in official standings at least, and then Hagen Johnson on his outside. So 2 Clemson guys side by side here to start off the race, Josh. I think this is going to be spicy.
Yeah, it's going to be spicy. Actually, the first 3 of your cars are going to be Clemson machines. You can see that Lamborghini of Justin Roberts, also a Clemson Tiger. And so these cars are going to come down the line. That Porsche pace car is going to pull off just a touch ahead of where these guys are running, and then we will get to that green flag. Gonna have to be very patient as we get around. You can see that bend in the track. That's where these cars are going to be able to go green, maybe a little bit after that. And everybody at the back getting a little bit spread out. And so, Jarrett, you can tell us what you see here as these cars get ready to go racing one more time in Season 4.
Green flag.
Spring 2022 road season is underway for the final time here in the CIL, and Hagen Johnson will lead them to the stripe. He gets a good little jump right behind him. Matthew Nordberg gets a little under pressure from Alex Klink behind. A little wiggle there for the NC State machine, but he's able to survive. But now under attack from Ryan Whitlock as they go down this long straight. Big passing opportunity here on lap number 1. John?
Yeah, it looked like Matt Norberg actually put a tire on the grass as we see Cohen Evans do the same thing, but Cohen's going in a straight line, so no effect there. Matt Norberg was trying to break down into turn 1 and got very loose from that combination of pressure from Alex Klink, as you mentioned. Now he's having some battle on the inside from Alabama at Huntsville, going up the inside. Can he get it done before this next corner? Pretty crucial to do that. And we'll see if he takes that wide line entrance into there, as you can do when you're out there. It looks like he did, and then close back down to secure that position over Norberg. Klink having a look to the inside here on the Wolfpack. It's a hard place to get that done because the next corner is set up well for the inside guy, but you can carry the speed around the corner as Klink tries to do that, set up well here for the next sharp right-hander, and he's going to take that spot from Norberg. Again, Norberg losing spots hand over fist here in the opening lap, Christian.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty clean start. I kind of take back what I don't want to say it too early, but I take back what I said about people being a bit aggressive for this race. So far, pretty clean racing. I don't want to give a commentator's curse at all, but I guess everyone kind of maybe had the opposite of they don't want to ruin their race, the very last race. They're going to be patient. We've seen different types of racing throughout the season, and this is definitely I wouldn't say the smartest type of racing that they're doing. I mean, patience is the best, and cleanliness, but this is it's pretty good.
Yeah, looks like we've got an instant up here at turn 1. Car number 4 involved. Looks like Nick Stockner, might be an Athena Leclerc. But Sean Campbell involved in that too. Either he had to jump on the brakes and lose a whole heap of time from that, but I'm not sure if he has damage. So I think our race stewards are probably going to be taking a look at that one, guys.
Well, that was commentator's curse.
Yeah, not seeing too much damage on that 30 machine, but as we look here, it looks like back under braking. A Porsche trying to go a little bit deep. It was all brakes for the 30 machine, but it looks like the 4, actually a little bit of Clemson contact there between the two Porsches, and Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College wrapped up in that one. Yeah, starting at the back, maybe not how you wanted to start that out. However, as these cars got in, you can see the bottom of your screen, just a little bit of grass, everybody trying to get around, and then you had very hard to find that out, and you had maybe target fixation there for the 4 car, but again, back to the 61 machine. Athena Leclerc, a driver certainly with the talent and pace to be up front, but yeah, just once you get in the back, Christian, it is tricky to claw your way forward, especially through events like that. So it helps to be at the front, keep everything behind you.
Yeah, I mean, I never like to start at the back. I mean, sometimes it's safer to start at the back. Some people say for starts and stuff, but it's a gamble you have to take on how you think everyone's gonna race. Quick look at Sean Campbell's car. Not too much damage, only some back right bumper damage. Nothing too serious. No damage on his wing either. So I think he's good to go. Currently P14, trying to get back through the pack.
P14 trying to bring that Audi to the front, and can't forget that all he has to do is get inside the top 12, and then he would be propelled forward there. As you see, Carl Lemkuhl, St. Louis State University, tackling alumni Nick Beaver in the North Dakota State University machine. So AMG Mercedes Power going to try and hang tough on the outside. Maybe the second Mercedes alongside Hagen Johnson's machine as well. And looks like he will hang tough on the outside. That Audi R8 will be in the back. And yet Carl Lemkuhl closing right up on the bumper. I'm sure those two gentlemen are enjoying their time together, having fun. And I tell you what, Jarrett, those two have spent a lot of time on track together. As you see Nick Beaver, that is his super late model machine behind him, the 10 machine. So when he's not doing this on the computer, he's doing that on the track there in the Midwest. And so no stranger to speed. You can see Nick Beaver there looking good on track and in the brand Polo and working that wheel. You can see he's under attack still from this Audi, Jarrett. These guys are some of the founding members here, and they're racing like it.
Yeah, they are both with onboard cameras. You can see Carl Lemkuhl in the VR, looking to his right, looking to his right, looking to his right, seeing where Nick Beaver is, where he's going to be able to turn in, able to give the space. They're just a car length in between the two of them, and they go 2x2 through that Senna S. Very hard to do, but here comes Sean Campbell as well. Going to throw his hat into the ring, and it looks like Beaver will slide in behind the 095, try and get a little bit of a tow. They will pull away a little bit from the 30 machine, but will he close off? He will. Good move from Carl right there, but Sean Campbell.
Ooh.
An incident there. Josh, run us through what just happened.
Well, you can see he was just trying to deal with that weight transfer. We know that the Audi can be the most lively GT3 car at times, and you can see the straight face there from Carl on board that he knew what was going on. But yeah, right here, if we can see under braking, and this is where I went sideways, Jarrett, a couple times in practice. John, why is it so easy with the weight transfer there and the facets of that particular corner? What make it so easy to go sideways there?
Well, based on what I'm seeing after that instant as well from Carl, I think that might be just a setup that's a little bit too aggressive, combined with, in that particular corner, trying to carry the brake a little bit too deep there. If you keep that nose loaded up too long on the entry there, that corner is pretty notorious for spin risk, I would say. So, it's a little bit of driver error there maybe. Carl's not typically prone to that sort of thing, but it can happen to pretty much anybody, and unfortunately it just happened to happen to Carl there. But back on board with Matt Nordberg trying to chase down George Nimmer just in front. You see how much more aggression Nordberg carried into that braking zone, made up a whole heap of space between these two cars, and now he's tucked right underneath that rear wing as they head down turn 4, and it's going to be a tough one to pass at. Looks like he's got some damage, actually. That steering wheel not at all straight on Matthew Nordberg's Audi, and so that can mean that the car might understeer one way, might oversteer a different way. It might be loose and slow corners, might be tight and fast corners. We'll have to see how it plays out for Nordberg, though, but now he's got Campbell right behind him for some added pressure. I think Campbell does carry a little bit of damage on that Audi from the earlier turn 1 instant on lap 2. but he'll probably get away with the most of it. Matt Norberg looking for a way around the outside, but looks like, yeah, that's that understeer we're talking about on right-hand turns probably for Nordberg, and struggling to get that car down to the apex. So he's going to have a hard time for the remaining 18 minutes or so of this race, Josh.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky, and I think I've been there as well, really waiting for halftime or for the next round or even for the next pit stop, whether in a race format similar to this or an endurance race. That is not a new feeling at all, and certainly a little bit of mind games there. In addition to the car control, you think you've got the steering wheel straight, especially if you're doing something that involves a quick reaction, and you find out that the steering wheel was not straight. So you can see Cohen Evans just missing the grass very closely. Well done. And the 17 is going to continue to try and fill up the mirror right now of Andrew Williams, another Clemson Tiger. You see that big paw on the roof of that Porsche. Two Porsches going at it, and a good look back right here. That's John. That is not what I want in my mirror, and we'll see a little bit of defense from Clemson. He'll push him back over to the line. He'll look, but yeah, not the move I would do there, and clever from IUPUI to wait and maybe pick another spot.
Yeah, definitely. Cohen's not one to try to force a move if it's not on. We know he's an extremely smart racer and keeps his car pretty clean throughout most of these races. And I got to say, great defense, though, from Andrew Williams down there into turn one, giving Cohen just enough space between the edge of the pavement and the grass there to get his braking done. So great job by him. If he did squeeze him any further, that'd probably be both of them out, because Cohen probably would have lost it on the grass there. No fault of his own, but that's just what's going to happen when you've got that sort of split mu braking action going on. But we'll see if this battle carries on. Closest battle on track at the moment. Cohen's just going to have to wait for his moment. It should be out of this corner. If he can get a great exit here, which it looks like he did, actually, he's going to be set up well to challenge down into turn one. Might have almost gotten a little bit too good of an exit, a little bit too close to really get a huge advantage from the draft, so he's going to have to do this all on skill now, but he's got plenty of that to go around. So he's on the outside, down into turn one. Not quite a carbon copy, he's a little bit further alongside. Does he outbrake the Porsche on the inside? Just about, but that corner is going to tighten up really quick here for turn two, and Andrew is going to be able to carry a little bit more speed there, and so this is going to go on for another lap here, Christian. Tight battle between these two Porsches.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating battle. My only concern is that, I mean, tires, they're not that huge of an issue on these races. They're pretty quick, but I mean, if you burn out your tires trying to race each other a whole lot, you might get this isn't the easiest track to drive on with all these turns and these pretty tight turns. I'm kind of worried that they're gonna start burning through that rubber and maybe have an incident later on this race.
Yeah, definitely a valid concern. These Porsches, not the worst on their tires, not the best, however, but Cohen, probably one that's a little bit nicer to his tires, a very smooth driving style for him, very progressive and predictable inputs from him, so that tends to be a bit nicer to the tires. Not quite sure on Andrew's driving style. I haven't ridden on board with him too much previously, but it looks pretty evenly matched with Cohen on speed. At least. Cohen also pretty good at car setup nowadays, and I think that might also lend to him being able to hang onto his tires a little bit longer than others. But like you said, Christian, I think if it does come down to tires, it'll be in that last 2 laps or so that you'll see the difference made up there, as Alexander Klenk sends a fastest lap of the race, a 31.4, while he's running up there in the 3rd position. This battle is about 10 seconds off of these guys up there. But down into turn one again, Andrew still got that move covered off there, Josh.
He does, and in a much better position that time. And maybe a little bit of contact. Couldn't tell if it was net code, but everybody lives. And back down into this corner now, separated by just under a car length. And yeah, on the radio, whoops, that didn't mean to do that there. I do spy Sean Campbell in the background of this one. He'll want to be on his way when he arrives. That gap closing down just a little bit. He'll probably run in on this lap, but these drivers are having a good battle, and yeah, Cohen Evans probably not going to force anything that's not on. As you can see, actually on your scoring tower, Alexander Klenk sneaking by Kyle Bonin as Sean Campbell now tries to do some sneaking of his own. Back down in Sector 2, this is a twisty bit and a little bit tight there, and maybe a catch from Cohen Evans. So Christian, your words come to fruition here. They raced for a little bit and now got to catch back up with that car.
Yeah, I mean, not only are they, destroying their tires, but they're also slowing each other down. I mean, them fighting each other. Yeah, they're trying to race their fastest, but naturally, when you're in this kind of battle, you guys you end up slowing down. You see this a lot in Formula One. You see them kind of saying like, hey, like chill out. We need this one, save our tires, and two, you're slowing. You're slowing each other down. You're causing the catch up from the guy behind you. So, I mean, Sean Campbell had no complaints about that. I'm sure he was loving that. But yeah, Jarrett.
Yeah, so taking a look at a moment ago, you saw Alexander Klink get a great run down the straightaway, head to the inside, and pass Kyle Bonin there for second place. Klink still sitting in that second position for WPI, now trying to chase down Hagen Johnson up there at the front of the pack. And Johnson, no stranger to the front of the pack. We've seen great work by him, and we also have another pass. We're going to take you back and look, and it is Sean Campbell on Cohen Evans down the front straight. John?
Yeah, textbook overtake here. Draft him all the way up the long straight, duck out at the last second, give him no chance to defend really down into turn one. And then, if you do overshoot turn one on the inside there, you can pull the over-under. We've seen it happen in Formula One a number of times. Kamui Kobayashi was somewhat known for that in the 2009 and 2010 era. But nothing like Campbell's not going to make that sort of mistake and overshoot that corner too much. So well-executed move here, and he's trying to line another one up here on Andrew Williams. I doubt he's going to go for it at this corner, and he fakes a move there to try to get Andrew to defend and compromise his line into this last corner effectively. But Andrew is just going to open up the steering pretty quick there, and maybe even let Cohen Evans sneak through with an opportunity here as Cohen is trying to draft off the rear wing of the Audi and gain a little bit of additional advantage over the Clemson Porsche on the outside. So this might be a double overtake, effectively, 2 cars on Andrew Williams here on the inside. Cohen's trying to figure out if Sean's going to be able to make this move happen too, and it looks like he did. And Cohen a little bit lazy though on that direction change. That's going to cost him out of it, but not enough to upset his overtake potential there as he makes that move stick on Andrew Williams. So that's up to 6th position now, Josh, for Sean Campbell. He is making his way through this field very nicely, and there is over 10 minutes left for him to try to work his way up there into the top 5.
Yeah, Sean Campbell moving up. You can see Nick Beaver there running a solid P10. Great way to come back for the Bison. And looking at Nick Potnella now, Robert Morris University, and that BMW strong everywhere that we talked about. But yeah, Cohen Evans a little bit wide in Senna there, but it worked out for him. Left a little bit more room than I probably would have, but that's why he is up there and I am up here. And so, yeah, John, I think that's probably an accurate assessment and great shot as you can ride on board and see just where these drivers are trying to peek around and see the apex and see where the track is going around these cars and how they are competing with one another as you ride on board now with that AMG Mercedes of North Dakota State University. Heavy braking into the final turn. You saw Sean Campbell take a very wide line and then a good exit here to get his pass done. And yeah, Nick Beaver, from North Dakota State University, trying to do the same here. And can he close up Jarrett as he goes into this turn?
Yeah, all the way to the back bumper. We've seen this is the spot to overtake. Beaver sends it down the inside all the way on that curbing. We'll see if he can get it done, and he will quite easily. Sneaks by Patnella. Good move right there for Nick Beaver, the accomplished asphalt late model driver. And up at the front now, Hagen Johnson under attack from Alexander Klink. John?
Yeah, this Audi is known to be fast around here. He's looking for a move even into the tight section here in the middle of the course. Pretty late on the brakes was that Audi, but tucked back up underneath the rear wing of the Clemson Mercedes. We'll see what Klink has in store here. If I'm him, I'm just going to wait a few moments here, try to set up a great run out of the last corner leading on to the main stretch here. And it's going to be coming up right in just a couple seconds for him. So if he can force a little bit of defensive move, he's a little bit far back for that, but it would set him up for a great opportunity down into turn 1. on this next lap around. But great exit out of it, but looks like Hagen Johnson also pretty strong exit. A little bit of a different strategy between Nick Beaver and Hagen Johnson as far as how they're approaching that last corner there. Nick Beaver really sending it deep on the brakes and getting a slightly delayed throttle action as a result. Hagen Johnson going to brake a little bit earlier, and there's Klink trying to get Hagen to defend needlessly down into turn 1 so he can find an advantage, but Hagen is pretty wise to that move, I would say, and didn't really fall for it too much. You can also sell the dummy down there into turn 1. If he defends, then you send it around the outside. Tough place to do it, but it's definitely possible, and if there's anyone that can do that, definitely going to be Alexander Klink in that beautiful yellow and blue Audi just behind this Mercedes down here into turn 3. And still pretty even, Stevens, Josh, as they head through this section and now up towards turn 6.
Yeah, back in sector 2 and watching exactly what you see in Hagen Johnson's mirror. But John, you mentioned some of the games, and we know that Alex and Hagen, both competitors and smart guys. As you can see, a late move right there by the Audi, and he'll get back on the binders. And yeah, it was he bought that one and he earned it. So relegated to still second position for now. The Audi, as I was going to say, these drivers are going to play games with each other, and there's going to be a mental side to the race. So you have pace, you have racecraft, but you also want to know where your competitor's going and where to put your car. And every lap, you're setting yourself up, and maybe Clank is setting up passes that are there in the future. So he set up turn 1 a couple times. Maybe he'll do something different this time. Maybe he'll set this one in and go outside. Not unlike in baseball, you might see high and away, and then low and inside, or something that comes back up inside on the batter in baseball. And so, yeah, you can see looking inside, tries to go inside, but yeah, Hagen, John, as you mentioned, having none of that, no need to defend there, a little bit far back. And as you said, I don't think that Clank would send that so far to be reckless. But as you can see, looks like the Bison trying to make a move on the Clemson Tigers back inside. And we talked about the AMG Mercedes so late on the brakes. It's good. And yeah, he'll be quick here and a little bit of an advantage, a little bit of grass, but uses all the track and then some to get the job done. And yeah, I think, Christian, that is +1 to Nick Beaver there.
Yeah. Nick Beaver doing pretty well. Next, Cohen Evans cut in front of him. Cohen Evans still sitting in 6th place, or 7th place, excuse me, doing well. Has Sean Campbell in front of him, and I think he may realize that he's not going to be able to get past Sean Campbell. Just how insanely fast Sean is. I'm curious though. Sean's been lagging a little behind compared to the rest of the races. I am wondering if he has just a slight bit of damage to his car. I mean, he's in 6th place. He started last. I mean, that's still insane, but by now, I mean, Sean's usually sitting 1st or 2nd, just about, with only about 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, that is. I did see some damage on Sean, but having an absolute race right now between Nick Beaver and Andrew Williams. You see there, separated through the 2nd sector by a little bit now, maybe 3 car lengths or so. And yeah, John, as you mentioned, getting that car turned and back down the front stretch, but very good and close racecraft from those 2 cars. Don't say netcode, but those 2 competitors going at it, and you can see another R8 and a Mercedes. These cars trying to go through. This is going to be your leader, Hagen Johnson for Clemson University, and Alexander Clank. Guys, looking about 5 minutes left in this one, so probably 2 or 3 laps for these drivers. As they come across, it's Hagen Johnson right now leading the way. Kyle Bonin going to be in P3, 2.7s back of this event that you see going on here. And Christian, back to your point, yes, I did see probably that Sean Campbell, most notably, a little bit off pace as he and Cohen Evans and the Clemson machine were trying to come down the front stretch there as they were doing that. Actually, Cohen Evans almost making a pass, but yeah, back up at the front, separated by just 2 or 3 tenths, and yeah, right back under braking. That Audi is right there, and so got a little bit of a race at the front as well.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Christian.
I was gonna say Hagen Johnson has his elbows out literally as far as he can. I mean, he's pulling a Sergio Perez. He's a minister defense right now. I mean, every move Clink is trying to make, Hagen just either doesn't care, for the trick outs, or is just right there to block him out. It's fantastic driving from Hagen.
Yeah, fantastic driving indeed. The widest Audi out there. But you can look at those sector times and see he's fast in sector 1, 2, and 4, but slower in Sector 3 and through Sector 5, which is the long run up to the main straight. So it might be a little bit of extra wing on that Audi that is holding him back here a little bit, trying to execute the overtake on the Mercedes in front. Hagen thinks there's a move on here, though, guys. He's going to drop down to the inside and try to block this down into turn 4 and does an expert job of it, just leaves barely enough room for Clank to break there on the outside, but does so beautifully. That is the kind of battles I want to see more of in the CIL. Great driving, great defensive driving from Hagen. Great job from Alexander Clank to not freak out a little bit much when he closed the door there, and just to maintain his position, stay steady on the brake, and not get too much into the ABS. Clank going for the move on the inside here. That's a tight move and a tough one to get done there at turn 8 into turn 9. Back to the original running order. Hagen up front, Clank just behind him. But this battle's going to keep going on for as long as this race goes, guys. We've got 2.5 minutes left for Clank to try something. I'm wondering if he's going to start getting a little desperate here, Josh.
Yeah, these drivers, and right now as we get down to the closing lamps, Clank starting to hustle Hagen a little bit, but so far cooler heads prevailing. And yeah, I think that's part of the fun in being the second place car in this event, is that you, or in this instance, that you're able to be a little bit tricky and try these different moves. And yeah, I'll tell you what, Hagen moving just over a touch of fade under braking as he went into that turn, Clank backing out, artfully playing in the gray areas. Should there have been contact, it would be a racing incident, we presume. And these two drivers being able to compete very closely together, to be able to play well together with these drivers. So absolutely having a great and fantastic run up here at the front.
Yeah, a great race up here at the front. It's always a good thing to watch. It's interesting, Alexander Clank's lines differing slightly from Hagen Johnson. Alexander's really trying to maximize the exits of all these corners. We'll see it especially here if he does the same thing he did on previous laps, where he uses a lot more of the exit curb up around turn 7, swings it out a lot wider than Hagen does. He just tends to open the steering a little bit faster, I think. Doesn't gain him any speed, maybe helps with a little bit of tire wear. And that may play a factor here in the closing stages. It's very likely this next lap by will be our InnoVetted Labs white flag lap. So not too many opportunities left here for Clank to make a move happen. Granted, he is an alumni. He doesn't have to make a move happen to claim the maximum number of points he can get out of this race, but it doesn't matter, guys. Everybody wants to beat the other guy to the line, no matter what class they're in. But Hagen Johnson is still getting great exits there out of turn 12, and is just looking really good in that Mercedes, I must say. Not too many people managed to make that car look really fast. He and Beaver are probably two of the best at it, if I had to guess. So Hagen's defending down to the inside, white flag, InnoVetted Labs white flag waving in the air there. Hagen Johnson defending to the inside. Clank really trying to send it in deep. That may or may not work out. He's got just a fender inside. We've seen that end in tears before down there at turn 2, but they both survive it. He's still under pressure here down towards turn 4. Hagen's going to have to defend early here to eliminate Clank from taking the inside. Clank goes there anyways. Hagen's going to try to eliminate any braking zone that he has available to him and close off the corner for turn 4. Hagen running wide, though. Both of them running wide and going to pick up an off track for that, but Hagen much more so than Clank, but he still has the advantage, Josh, up here into turn 6.
As I say, as long as he doesn't have an off track, that could be an off track for 7, but we will see. And yeah, very well done right there. A little bit of contact, but everybody still going through. That will not be there, an off track. That's all part of the racing surface. But Clank in a good spot right here. That AMG Mercedes trying to hang tough on the outside. He'll have the inside this time, but looks like Clank could close the door. Hagen Johnson still there. He can get it turned in. And spin. That is a spin for Alexander Clank. And a little bit of brake. You talked about loading up the nose and trouble right there as the Lamborghini of Clemson walks by. And now, yeah, back and going to try and get that thing pointed the right direction. But we stay with the leader right now. This will be coming to the checkered flag. Hagen Johnson wins a very competitive battle for this first heat race. Kyle Bonnet from Clemson will pick up the second position. Dustin Roberts, Clemson, in third position, coming to the line. But yeah, absolutely brilliant race right there, and coming to the line, just a touch more of brake. You could see that WPI and Alexander Clank wanted to get in that corner as deep as they could, maintain their position. They knew that AMG was going to be strong in that position on the inside right there. And yeah, still taking home the alumni category, Alexander Clank, but not how that driver wanted that race to go. But John, I think that we ordered a motor race and it was delivered.
Yeah, it certainly was delivered there. I think Clank doing the same thing as what Carl did maybe 8 or so laps ago, where he just held the brake a little bit too long going down into the corner. And that Audi really does like to rotate on the brake. And the disadvantage to that means that if you're in a tight battle and you need to send it deep, then you got to be really careful with how you come off that brake pedal. Otherwise, what happened to Clank can happen to you too. And it definitely was not what Clank wanted there, but that's the way it goes. He still maintains the lead in the alumni category, finishing 6th overall, just in front of Nick Beaver. So any more time lost out there, and he may have come 2nd in the alumni with a victory going to Nick Beaver. But either way, guys, we're still going to flip the field here for this next race, top 12 invert. So it looks like Matthew Nordberg is going to be on the pole position for this next race. Jared, I think we've seen that a few times before. Tends to go pretty well for that Wolfpack team.
Yeah, and I tell you what, you saw it right there. Being the lead car, it's a very difficult thing to manage. But if you can do it successfully, it puts a lot of pressure on that second place guy, especially at a track here like Interlagos, where the passing zones, you really gotta pick and choose. You really gotta think ahead to where you want to set up that pass, and we saw it right there. Alex Clank started running out of time, tried to make an aggressive move at a point in the track that's difficult to do. It can be done, but very difficult to do, and just could not hang on in that situation. So exciting first race, and I hope we get a little more of the same. As John mentioned, that invert, the 12th position driver from race 1 will now be the first starting position for race number 2, and so on and so forth. Both these races tonight, same amount of points on the line as well. Josh?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, as far as the points, they are on the line. Same amount of points, but sorry, I was still focused on the racing action. And again, Hagen Johnson, I thought Clank might have a move there at the end of the first sector going into where we saw Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen run wide towards the end of the last Formula One season. But Hagen skillfully not going all the way back over, leaving Clank just enough room, but able to keep his momentum up. Now, he did go into quite the runoff area, and I guess I think John did not result in a slowdown there, but yeah, Jarrett, that was pretty clean from him being able to pick that back up and give just enough room, but maintain his competitive advantage.
Yeah, and we heard it from us, and now we're going to bring in Hagen Johnson into the booth during this 5-minute warm-up window for race number 2. And Hagen, we were just admiring your battle there with Alex Clank all night, or end of the race long. Walk us through how you're able to keep your focus out the front, so to speak. You're able to know where he is, know when he's making a move, and not fall for those dummy moves. Walk us through kind of how you manage that over the course of the night.
He was getting closer. I could definitely saw in my mirror his line that he was taking a little bit different than the rest of us. He was kind of a late breaker, so I figured out that kind of through that middle sector, I was able to kind of park it on the apexes, and he couldn't get a run on me. And I had a better exit out of the last corner. So there was just really no way for him to get around me. So I just kind of studied his line to figure out where I could slow him up and utilize my strengths of the car to get away from him.
Excellent job with that, man. Well done overall. I mean, I got to say, that was probably the widest Mercedes I've seen since some more defensive Lewis Hamilton battles, probably of recent memory at least. But it looked like the Mercedes was actually pretty good under brakes itself, and you were able to really maintain the position under brakes in most cases. Do you find that's a big benefit to this car?
Yeah, especially the low end, the power of the car, it pulls really well out of the corners, and it's very stable. So I'm able to kind of just drive those slow corners really deep and just get a pull out of the corner.
Yeah, you had the biggest elbows out there today. I think you took a note out of Sergio Perez's book. You might want to talk to him. But how are you feeling coming up into this next race here, this next stage?
Good. It's going to be difficult to work from 12th, but I definitely feel like got the pace to get up there as long as I can, avoid the incidents that might happen in front. But I feel like I can make my way back up to the front. Definitely got the pace tonight.
All right, well, we're excited to watch it again. Good luck in this second race, and hopefully we talk to you again soon.
Appreciate it.
So that's Hagen Johnson, the Clemson driver, on your screen there in position number 1. So quick run through of your results from race number 1 of the night. You see it labeled on your screen as the heat race, But again, a reminder, both these races tonight do have equal points. And we're being told that Sean has clinched the championship, so we'll see if we're able to confirm that with our statisticians up in the booth as well. But before we do, let's quickly run through our results from race number 1 of the night. Hagen Johnson in first, Kyle Bonin in second, Justin Roberts in third, and it's an all Clemson podium for maybe the first time this year, guys.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I don't think we've seen that before, but it was bound to happen at some point, Jared. It's just fitting that it happened in the finale here at Interlagos. That's awesome for the Clemson team, Josh.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and a lot of speed and knowledge. I remember when Kyle Bonin was the name that we saw frequenting a lot of the scoring sheets near the top, and now names like Hagen, Justin Roberts are up there. But guys, we've also seen Andrew Burrell and Andrew Williams up there as well. And so this is, as we see the sport of sim racing come across the collegiate esports space. This is the result. We have schools that are buying in, and drivers that are very talented and still learning. John, is the scary part. They are still learning and not slowing down anytime soon.
Yeah, we're all still learning when it comes to sim racing or driving in any aspect anyways, but these guys are probably doing it a little bit more intense than most. But with the warm-up now over, the carts are going to get lined back up out on the grid here for race 2. Again, 25 minutes, but with that top 12 invert here. So your starting order for race number 2 will be Matthew Nordberg for NC State. It's going to lead this field away. And then Nick Patnell for Robert Morris on his outside. George Nimmer for Southern Illinois is going to start in third. Then it's on to Andrew Williams for Clemson. Cohen Evans in a good starting position for IUPUI. Nick Beaver for North Dakota State. Let's watch for a battle between him and Alexander Klink starting just behind him in 7th for WPI. Ryan Whitlock for Alabama at Huntsville, good starting position in 8th. And then Sean Campbell finishing 4th in the last race, now in 9th to start this race for Randolph Community College. Justin Roberts, the first of those 3 podium finishers from the previous race. He's going to start 10th. Kyle Bonin in 11th. And then Hagen Johnson for Clemson is your top 12. And then Carl Lemkel in 13th, going to hope to have a better race this time around. Andrew Burrell for Clemson, again, another Clemson man. And then Kyle Wood for Ball State. Athena Leclerc for St. Clair, unfortunately involved in an incident on lap 2 of that last race, really scuppered her race in particular. But then Nick Stockner in 17th. Austin DeLong for Penn College of Technology in 18th. And that is our field tonight, guys.
Yeah, and I think Athena Leclerc has the pace. We know. I think she can put that Porsche up front for Claire College and start moving the field. I'll tell you what, we also see there on the inside. I think that will be a tough car to get around up at the front. And boy, looking back at this field, it is ready to run. Robert Morris University improving every week. We know that car will not be so easy to scoot around, and kind of fun, John, to see that machine up there as well tonight.
Yeah, most definitely fun to see that up there. There's a number of names I think are interestingly pretty far up in the field here tonight, and I think it's going to lend us to a pretty great battle here going into race 2. You've got Sean Campbell starting a little bit further down the field, but he's around a lot of fast guys that he's going to have to make his way through if he wants to win this last race of the season. Whether or not he's won the championship, probably not really bearing down on his mind all that much right now. We know most guys, when they get in the car, they're just thinking about the task at hand in front of them. So, Jarrett, guys are running out there on the pit straight pace car about to dive off. We have our last race of the season on our hands.
So you see all the cars nose to tail as they get ready to rock and roll. And with this invert, turn 1 gets quite interesting, as the driver finishing in 12th is now in first. Matthew Norberg in control of the field. Green flag in the air from Barney the Flagman, and we're underway for the final CIL road race of the spring 2022 season. Great jump from Matthew Norberg. He's going to be off and clear. Further on behind, Cohen Evans trying to pick up a couple of positions early. He has the inside of Nick Beaver, and they'll be side by side heading out of Senna. John?
Yeah, Sean Campbell really wide out of the Senna S there, and it's going to compromise him down to this straight, but pretty much single file up towards the front of the field for the time being. I think Matt Norberg is going to be safe. Maybe George Nimmer looking for a move there on Nick Patinella down into turn 4. A little bit of side-by-side action a little bit further on down the field. Looks like that might be Hagen Johnson actually running wide there in that Mercedes. Carl Lemkel is going to sneak up his inside through the exit of 5. Hagen's still looking for a move potentially, but that's a tough place to get that one done. I've got a car sideways on my screen. That looks like the number 72 of Patinella. I'm wondering if he got turned entering turn 6 there.
Yeah, you can see the Clemson vehicle behind right there, Patinella on board. And yeah, late dive for 23. That is Andrew Burrell. And boy, 72 used the entire track to save it. Yeah, right there comes tough spot. A lot of drivers taking evasive action and getting around the obstacle, but not what you want to see if you're the 72 or that Robert Morris that Robert Morris machine. And so, yeah, that's a little bit tricky there, but tough notes there, Jarrett.
Yeah, tough notes there, but it's the rest of the field starting to single file on out. We'll see how this plays out as everyone's kind of got their notes from this first race. As Nick Beaver looking to make a move on Andrew Williams. He'll dive to the inside and send it on in deep for the North Dakota State University Bison. He'll go around the outside in the center S. Tough move to make it work. Little bit of grass, maybe. But the number 10 machine hangs on right there. Big move for Nick Beaver. Able to make it work. And here comes Cohen Evans as well. Josh?
Cohen Evans to the inside of Andrew Burrell. 23 looking there. Andrew Williams, as I am corrected there. University of Alabama at Huntsville. Had to run a little bit wide, but that lamp come back on the outside. You see spaceships on that machine trying to get inside. And yeah, Sean Campbell in that red machine on the left. They're not much place to go. So it will be Lamborghini through there. And then you can see a couple Porsches trying to get that figured out. Orange wheels to the inside. And yeah, Sean Campbell just now finding a hole to scoot through. And I think that his biggest item, Christian, is just trying to find how to get that Audi R8 for Randolph College pointed the right direction and get it moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good pack sitting right there. I mean, you have Sean Campbell, Kyle Bond, and Cohen Evans, Ryan Whitlock, Andrew Williams, and Nick Beaver. I mean, that's a great pack of racers right there, and I'm really excited to maybe see a bit more racing. I hope they don't spread out too much, as this track tends to do with some racers. The last race, you could see positions 3 through about 6 pretty spread out as Sean Campbell tries to go past Cohen Evans down the straight, about on his left rear, see if he could take through the chicane, or the S's, excuse me.
Yeah, looking pretty smooth there through the Senna S's. All the Audis getting through there. We know they like to rotate. Sean Campbell right now in 6th, and Ryan Whitlock, you did see on your screen as he was competing pretty hard. Now he's going to have to keep that machine behind him. Yeah, and you can see just trying to sell the dummy. Sean Campbell maybe having a little bit too much fun back there in the Audi machine for Randolph College, but he's got a pretty good run, just a little bit, and we'll see if he wants to use it here or maybe as he goes back onto the main straight, Christian. There's probably a number of places that he could get that move done, this time with an undamaged Audi, or so we think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's hit anyone yet. I don't think he was even involved in that spin out on lap 1 or 2 there. So I think he's doing pretty good. Yeah, he's definitely playing around with some of these drivers here, having a bit of fun, seeing if he can juke them out a bit. But I don't know. We'll see where he ends up. I mean, that's a pretty wide Lamborghini right there. So we'll have to see where it goes. Jarrett?
Yeah, and right here you can tell Sean Campbell has the pace to get around, but just not able to do it. The track doesn't provide that spot you need, but he is going to get a run down this front straight. Dives to the bottom, maybe out a tad early, but still on the back bumper. Ryan Whitlock, they'll go side by side down the front straight. Up ahead, it's Andrew Williams and George Nimmer, but Sean Campbell deep down into the S's. Great late braking by Sean Campbell. We know he can do it. And right there, you see just how excellent he is. Another fastest lap of the race. And now we've got kind of a traffic jam here as 4 cars all slow. And Campbell's going to try and weave through. Josh?
Yeah, and going through here, it is a little bit tricky. You can see Nick Beaver on the outside, George Nimmer on the outside, trying to keep those cars on track. Sean Campbell coming through the front. He's going to try and work on the 23 of Andrew Williams, Clemson University. These drivers going through, and again, back in this second sector, it is very hard to get around. Does he want to take? I think Sean Campbell likes to make those little moves, as we see Nick Beaver putting a little bit of force and trying to get that AMG up front. I do see a little wrinkle on the left side. I don't see it on the right side, so not part of that body work for the factory, anyways, from AMG Mercedes. However, Clemson Tigers right now showing the way in this battle. You can see Andrew Williams in that 23 car, and he's going to have a full battle on his hands as he goes down into turn. You can see how wide that Audi is turned in by Sean as he goes in, and he has now a pretty good run. What will he do with it? He's looking inside, outside Christian as he runs down into turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's tight racing here, and Sean just gets so close to that wall there. He gets uncomfortably close for me. I mean, that's that at that point, that's where I'm almost like, oh no, I almost screwed up. And Sean's doing this consistently. This is his motto. He's just having fun, seeing how close he can get to these corners, and now getting a pretty far gap on Andrew Williams there. Whew, couldn't find him, but. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you who is enjoying this, John, is Matthew Nordberg, still out at the front by 4 seconds. A lot of battling taking place right now, but these drivers are being able to go forward. And Matthew Nordberg actually now with Sean Campbell in second. We might see that interval drop off just a touch. But Matt Nordberg has the Audi as well. So both those drivers may have a little bit of similarities in how they are getting around this track tonight, John.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. We'll see what they have in store towards the end of this race, but they've still got plenty of time to make something happen here. 18 minutes left to go. So we watch Nick Beaver try to work on Andrew Williams just in front, and Andrew Williams giving a warning for that previous contact with Nick Patinella. Just the slightest of nudges on the rear fender, and that was all it took from him, but an honest mistake in the eyes of the race control, it would seem. So on board with Nick Beaver there, that's got to be one of the best racing backgrounds and best sim setups I've ever seen in my entire life. What a way to get invigorated for a race like this, as he's looking for a move down to the inside, potentially on the number 23 machine. No, he looks to the outside there, just going to get it locked down there under brakes and get it turned in there. Andrew leaves the door open, though, it would seem, but closes it right back down again. We'll see if he gets a better exit out of turn 3. It doesn't look like he did, though. Nick Beaver's going to have another opportunity down here into turn 4, looking to the outside for now. Out here on the grass, Andrew not giving him any space. Alonso is screaming in my ear. I can hear him already, and then walking him down into turn 4 there. And tough for Nick Beaver there. I think he got squeezed a little bit to the outside, Josh.
I think he got squeezed a little bit, but he was not lifting on that grass, as you can see. A look here, and right there, he's going to get alongside. Can he make this stick? This is going to be tricky, but the AMG Mercedes does have a lot of grunt, so can he make this inside work? You see he gets that car pointed. He's going to be on the gas and then back around. If he can maintain this position through the inside, I think he would be able, John, to block this off and maintain the position. Yeah, doesn't want to get crossed over right here. You can see he's going to defend that pretty well. All is said and done, and I do think that there is a new sign on that race car. That quarter panel might be for sale. I don't remember seeing that in our onboard shots in race 1, but nonetheless, Nick Beaver open for business on the side of that late model as well. And Christian, not a bad choice if you're looking to be on race car. That's a good one to be on. Going to the front, Nick Beaver.
Yeah, I mean, it's everyone's doing pretty well. And sorry, I'm just getting a bit of chat in there. It was trying to trip me out. I know Sean was talking about something, but taking a look back at Ryan Whitlock. Let's see if I can find him on my screen. He's doing decent. This is a pretty close race here, as we see him following that BMW, I believe. Yeah, following that BMW, trying to make that move currently and being still cut out. A little close there. Ooh, as he goes out wide. Not the most comfortable if I was sitting there with Ryan, as Ryan. This is getting pretty interesting. Any comments, John?
Yeah, Kyle Bonin looking to the outside there, trying to find a space to fit that Porsche in, but there was no space available between the BMW of Nimmer and the Lamborghini of Whitlock. Whitlock doing a heck of a job right now, trying to chase down Nimmer to try to steal away a top 5 position if he can. Whitlock, no shortage of car control skills, obviously, as we've seen. Now we're about to see some racecraft skills on display here, trying to set up a move probably out of turn 12 down into turn 1, as we've seen so many times before. Tries to get as wide a line to take a nice high-speed entrance into turn 12. Doesn't quite use all the exit, though. There might have been a little bit more potential there for that Lamborghini, but either way, he set up well right underneath the wing of that BMW. There might be an opportunity for a move here into turn 1. We'll have to wait just a few moments to see. Does he duck out of the draft one way or the other? George looks to be defending to the inside here, and Ryan has to go to the outside. Get it late on the brakes, but still just about gets the move done by the Apex, but turn 2 makes it no problem and steals that position away. A great outside move, just being late and confident on the brakes for Ryan Whitlock. Excellent move by the Alabama at Huntsville team there, Josh.
Yeah, a little bit late on the brakes, and George Nimmer from Southern Illinois, he was going to be on the inside, maybe to the brakes a little bit earlier than he needed, because yeah, John, I was also surprised he had that done just about by the mid or the end of Senna, and so pretty good move for Ryan Whitlock there. George Nimmer with the airplane on the roof, you can see trying to follow that spaceship. That's the bit there. He needed a little bit more fuel, going a little bit farther. That rocket ship, no stranger from aviation himself, George Nimmer from Southern Illinois University. So all top tier paints, really, John. That we are treated to this evening. But I'll tell you, we're about to be treated to that Audi again, turning in very wide for another run down into turn 1. Audi versus Audi. This time, Matthew Nordberg going to have to defend pretty valiantly from Sean Campbell, and he's going to have to do so for the next about 15 minutes, John.
Yeah, I'm not sure he is defending, though. He should have defended to the inside a long time ago to hang on to that lead position, but it looks like Campbell's going to take that away from him down into turn 1. I think Nordberg had 2 choices there, and he chose the latter of them. His other choice was to try to defend for the next 9 laps of this race against a hard-charging Campbell, and that is not an easy thing to do. So I think he chose the safer of the 2 routes, just guarantee himself some points, and tuck underneath the rear wing of that Audi in front of him now and try to stretch a little bit of a gap back to Nick Beaver and Andrew Williams behind. So probably a more wise strategy than trying to battle with Sean Campbell for the remaining 12 minutes of this race. A little bit further back there, Hagen Johnson in a battle with George Nimmer, Kyle Bonin at the front of this pack running wide. These 2 guys getting together. That's Hagen Johnson and George Nimmer getting together and running off track, but they maintain control of their cars. I don't know exactly what caused each of those guys to do that. That was a bit of a strange one. I don't know if I've seen that before. I'm sure race control will take a look at that, but seeing as both guys ended up back on track in largely the same positions they left the track at, that's probably going to go down as a racing incident, but we'll have to take a look and see if there was any specific issues regarding any errant steering inputs, let's say, through that straightaway on the exit of 4. But Hagen Johnson sitting good in 8th position, George Nimmer in 9th, and then Cohen Evans filling out that last top 10 spot with really only Carl led. Oh no, and a spin at turn 12 for Hagen Johnson. I don't know if that was a solo spin, but I suspect that it might have been, Josh.
Following on board with Hagen Johnson here, you can see approaching the final turn and going to run up on that grass for the final turn. Yeah, he's going to get that car turned in, and actually was a little bit sideways even before the apex right there, and yeah, just wanted to get that Mercedes rotated. We know that the Mercedes with the engine in the front, you do have to get it to rotate both from the driving standpoint and the setup standpoint, and a little bit overzealous right there. John, that's probably how he's so fast when he's going fast, but I'm sure there is risk associated with that.
Yeah, risk associated with it indeed. And yeah, it looked like the instant previous to that where they both ran off turn 4 was just a little bit of a misunderstanding between the 2 cars. So I don't think race control is going to take an action there. We'll see what they have to say about it ultimately, though. But back up to this battle here with Carl Lemkool and Cohen Evans just behind. I mean, we've seen it in the last race, guys. Cohen Evans is just going to wait for that opportunity to open up there. And he knows that Carl spun in the last race. Carl doesn't want to do that in this race. I do hope it's not bearing down on his mind. He's a smart driver. He's a great engineer. And we'll see if he can put those skills to work here in the last 10 minutes of this CIL road season. But he's hanging on to that 9th position well so far. George Nimmer looking a little bit wide out of certain corners to really get the most speed out of that BMW. So that might present some opportunities for Carl here in these last 10 minutes, stretching a little bit of a gap back to Cohen Evans now, and well, tucked up under that rear wing of that BMW just in front, Josh. We might have an overtake opportunity down into turn 1, but we've seen these go pretty much either way. It depends if George is going to defend hard as we've seen him do before. Let's see if he does this time. Again, Carl could potentially send the dummy here if he chooses to, but chooses to do no such thing. Just going to tuck right up underneath, get really deep on the brakes there in his full motion rig, and then try to work his way through turn 2. Actually, he's not in his motion rig anymore. I just noticed that thing's pretty rock solid, it looks like. I wonder if that was a bit of a performance disadvantage previously with some extra shaking around, maybe some loss of fidelity in pedal inputs would be my fear there. But either way, this battle is going to continue on as it looks like Ryan Whitlock is off the track with Andrew Williams. They must have gotten together at turn 3, guys.
Yeah, I did see that on another monitor. That's 23. Just inside here, guys, these drivers trying to get these positions and leaving the space and just a little bit close right there. Could have even been some net code. Looks like there was room there for the 20 in that Porsche, but not sure if it was all taken advantage of. But yeah, tough spot there, and it'll be interesting to see race control. Perhaps an honest mistake, but a mistake nonetheless, affecting the outcome there. And not too happy if I'm Alabama at Huntsville, but we will carry on nonetheless. Ryan Whitlock right now scored in 9th. You can see right here, Carl Lemkool from St. Louis University, actually with his hands full, both his windshield and his mirrors. You can see Cohen Evans on his way, and as we pick up from last time, trying to get around George Nimmer, and that would be a little bit of excitement right there. So these drivers trying to get through, and just a little bit of fun for Carl Lemkool. Can't make too much of a move here lest he be caught out.
I don't think there's going to be any needed intervention between Ryan Whitlock and Andrew Williams from race control, as in Andrew Williams kind of just pulled off to the side, waited for Ryan Whitlock to get back on his feet per se, and get back in front. He gave back the position, so I think that's just going to be a kind of push it off to the side. Just a note for anything. I don't think anything's really going to come about that from the incident between Andrew Williams and Ryan Whitlock as they pass that again. As Andrew actually giving him lots of space, a good about second, I believe. And also, as if you haven't been noticed, but Sean Campbell has taken the lead quite a few laps ago and is now just kind of sitting out front and enjoying himself, racing, enjoying the pretty area of this beautiful track, may I add.
Yeah, about 4 seconds back. Matt Nordberg now for NC State University. Nick Beaver trying to put that AMG Mercedes also about 4 back. And so the drivers, this is probably the battle right now. As you can see, Cohen Evans trying to chase down. You can also see Nick Patinella trying to hold off Hagen Johnson and Clemson Machine. We know he's fast. Not sure if there's any damage from that spin earlier. Don't know if there was really any damage there, but yeah, not what you want to do is take that precious underbody of your car. As you can see, Patinella locked in right there and deciding right now whether he's going to defend or stay to the outside to use all of that track. These drivers back in their element. And you can see through Senna, he has chosen to defend that pretty well. And yeah, I probably would take Patinella on that one. John, good line through there so far.
Yeah, a great line indeed. Doing a good job of defending from Hagen Johnson, who's trying to recover after that spin, of course. But as they head down here into turn 4, yeah, see, the line that Patinella takes there is more consistent than I've seen him do previously. He's been a little bit wide in certain areas before, and that was a much better approach into turn 4 in particular. But with Hagen Johnson just behind him, that BMW is going to have to work really hard to keep that Mercedes at bay, Josh.
He is, and Patinella doing a good job right now. Just keeping the tires on it. About 5 minutes to go in this one, so a little bit early to start driving over top of your competitors, but not too bad for a moment. So as we walk down here, Christian, what should we expect to see here in the final 5 minutes of this race season for CIL on the roadside? Got a couple battles on track right now.
Yeah, we have quite a few battles on track. I don't think any of them are super close. We do have Nick Beaver for our alumni coming in third right now, I believe, with Carl Lemkool coming in behind him. But Sean Campbell, no shock, is in first place, followed by Matt Nordberg, and 4.5 seconds behind. with Justin Roberts. Now, I'd like to talk about Justin Roberts for a quick second. As in, I feel like he's very just quiet. He just sits around, doesn't make too much noise, and is always up in those points. I think the last race he finished third. This current race he's finishing fourth, possibly if it all goes correct in this last 5 minutes. So I mean, Justin Roberts is a bit of an underdog in this season so far.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate assessment. Justin Roberts really picking up any slack. Not that Kyle Bonin leaves university, but Justin Roberts has been putting that Lamborghini up there pretty consistently. I'll tell you what, Carl Lemkool did get by George. Saw them racing a bit, and Carl Lemkool now trying to get up and maintain his position. You can see there George Nimmer followed by Alabama at Huntsville. A little bit of an off for that car, and then Cohen Evans trying to go through as he follows this pack and tries to maintain his standing and get up there a little bit. So these cars close under a blanket now, a 4-car battle, and we'll see what happens, Jared, as we go down here into turn 1. A drafting opportunity, but I'm not sure that any of these cars are super closed up, and they might be getting ready to set up for this lap. Probably 2 to go, 2 laps to go this time by, and St. Louis University to the outside.
Yeah, a good defense from Carl Lemkool right there. I know you see him dive up out of the way. And, as soon as we say that Carl Lemkool just loses the car, he'll have to get that St. Louis University car turned on around, as we'll take one more look at it. Looked like solo spin. We said they jumped up to the outside. He was riding his line, and maybe just a little too aggressive.
Bump on the
right
inside.
there. Down toward the end of that Senna S, and a little hit to the wall. So the SLU car going to try and make a little comeback here. So he goes all the way to the back end of the 61 Athena Leclerc, who's had a quiet couple of races here tonight for St. Clair College. We'll see if she's able to fend off Carl Lemkool. John?
Yeah, tough one for Carl. I feel a little bit bad for mentioning a spin earlier. I hate to say that might have been a commentator's curse. I'll give it a 50-50 either way on that one. But this battle between Cohen Evans, Ryan Whitlock, and George Nimmer still going on here as we're approaching the final stages of this race. Ryan Whitlock doing a great job recovering from that earlier instant with Andrew Williams, I believe it was, and has helped himself up to 7th position after that one. And we've seen guys have trouble getting around George Nimmer. He's doing a good job defending against overtakes so far this race. He may have another one on his hands here to defend from. But in just a moment, we will certainly find out here. Does Ryan look to the inside or the outside? No, he's going to hold position, maybe just swing to the outside, try to send it around on the brakes. Great move by Ryan Whitlock, and then gets it done inside of turn 2, and then has turn 3 all to himself. And what a move there. Super confident on the brakes. I think that might be close to a carbon copy of what we saw in the last race, but he still has to defend from George down here into turn 4. But I think he's going to have this one covered off, Josh.
Yeah, very similar to the move previous, but Alabama and Huntsville. Again, the Rocket prevails, so far anyways. Let's not count our chickens just yet, but I think somewhere in there probably would have the InnoVetted white flag if we're not coming to it. You can see your ticker showing about 24 minutes of this 25-minute race completed. So Sean Campbell now going to take that final turn onto the front stretch, and we'll see to what flag he arrives as he follows. Looks like a Clemson Porsche there. As you can see, he gets a good chunk of that curb going out to the pit lane, and he'll come across not too close this time to that tire barrier, but I do see the checkered flag right there, and that's going to be a fast lap. I'll tell you what, I don't see it on the ticker though, so perhaps it was the white flag, the InnoVetted white flag that we've seen, and looks like it's going to be the final lap for all of these drivers as they go ahead. And it looks like right now this is our battle. Jarrett Cohen Evans trying to get around George Nimmer for IUPUI, and he's going to have a couple more chances to do it in this next lap.
You said it, a couple more chances, and you got to make the most of each of them. Get as close as you can here in turns 1 and 2. We see the interval drop to 0.4 of a second, almost 5, but down at the tail end, back down to 3, maybe 2.5. Good run for Cohen Evans. Is this the move, John?
Yeah, it might well be. It's a great spot to make it happen, but it looks like this Porsche doesn't quite have the straight line speed to get close enough. So unless it's a massive move under brakes here, which it doesn't look like it's going to be. This is going to be holding steady through at least turns 4 and 5, and then up to 6. 6, not a great passing opportunity, but Cohen actually alongside on the outside heading up to 6. Not where I would want to be for this. George Nimmer still with the advantage here with only a handful of corners left to go. Cohen has got to really bide his time and try to find an opportunity if he's going to make his inroads here to the top 7 down through turn 9. Still even Stevens, nobody really gaining on either way. And Cohen's going to have to look for maybe an opportunity here on the inside. No, George has that one covered off very well. Now down the hill, race towards the final real corner of the track. If Cohen can force an error here, potentially, maybe get George to really defend this line. He does that not too poorly, actually. Does a pretty good job of that, but Cohen has to get a massive exit out of this corner to have any chance to get by as they head up towards the line. But I think that Porsche speed is going to let him down here. George Nimmer looks to have this one. I think, though, Cohen is actually touching the wall there. He's trying so hard to get up underneath the wing of that car, but it will ultimately not be close enough. George Nimmer going to hang on to finish P7 here tonight with Cohen Evans 1/10 of a second behind. That was an excellent battle between those last two guys.
Yeah, it really was, and fantastic move there. Wondered if he might pull out, but settled to push along the line there. As you can see, the balance of these drivers coming back in. Jack Roush for Ball State University. You can see their bright teal stripe. Going to put that Porsche along, and then Penn College of Technology also for within Austin DeLong. Going to bring that across the line there. As you can see, that 22 machine wrapping up a really solid season on the roadside for Penn College of Technology. But on your screen right there is your winner. That is going to be Sean Campbell from Randolph Community College. He knows where the jump is, and it looks like I'll give it a 10. Maybe not on the landing, John, but solid performance from that crew.
Yeah, he tends to avoid the donuts at the end, doesn't he, and try to find whatever neat little rallycross course there is around the track. And surprisingly, that Audi's still intact and driving around somehow. But I think that all but confirms it, guys. Sean Campbell being our champion for this season once again. So now a multi-time champion within the series, joining the likes of, I think, Clank having a double championship as well to his name. Not many of those, but it's still a young league, only a handful of seasons under the belt, and we've already got a couple of two-time champions in here, guys, and that's not super common, I think. But either way, great job by that Randolph Community College team. I mean, they've just been incredibly consistent every single race, made very few mistakes that weren't forced errors, I might say, and have just had so much pace underneath the hood of whatever car that he's driving. I might remind viewers that he's changed cars every single race so far, and by doing that has accrued an EOL to start every single race, and so he's had to work his way up a long ways. But either way, here are your finishing results on the board here, Jarrett.
So Sean Campbell from Randolph Community College, a fitting end to his championship season. We'll see if we can get a couple words with him here in a moment. Matthew Nordberg from NC State second. Nick Beaver from North Dakota State in his CIL return gets on the podium in third. Justin Roberts from Clemson in fourth. Kyle Bonin from Clemson in fifth. Ryan Whitlock from Alabama at Huntsville holds on to sixth. George Nimmer from Southern Illinois in seventh. Cohen Evans eighth. Hagan Johnson ninth. And Nicholas Patinella in 10th, rounding out your top 10 here tonight. Joining us up in the booth is your second place finisher, Matthew Norberg, in that NC State machine. And Matt, we saw you take the green flag there in first place in the second race, and it was just hang on, get a big lead, hold off Sean as long as you can, and then just kind of ride. So walk us through starting that second race in that first position, what you're thinking, knowing the field who's behind you.
Yeah, I know that I had the pace tonight to be up there towards the front. I qualified well, just had some bad luck in the first race. So I knew if I could pull away from the pack in the second race, I could hopefully, hold a lead on some of the mid-pack guys, let Sean get by without too much of a fight, and then kind of hold off from there, which is exactly how the race went tonight. So just really glad that I could hold on for second place there at the end.
Yeah, that was an excellent race overall, I might say, from you. And really both races, you really seem to make that Audi work throughout the course. But it looked like some other guys were having some trouble in getting that car to stop rotating on corner entrance. Do you think that might be a car setup issue for them? Because I don't think I saw you have that issue too many times.
No, I mean personally, I think my driving style really fits the Audi pretty well. I really like a lot of mid corner rotation, so if there's a little bit too much on entry, I mean, it's much easier for me to handle that compared to maybe something on the exit, like some snappy oversteer on the corner exit. But I mean, on the first race, I was struggling a little bit with some of that front turn in. I think it caused me to spin, and that's what put me in a bad position for the first race. But I think learning from that and adapting from that over the race, maybe just trailing on the brake a little bit more, really helped get some corner entry on the Audi.
Yeah, that was the Audi. That was definitely the car to drive tonight. But speaking of not speaking of tonight, just speaking of the entire season, what were your generalized thoughts on the entire season? How did you perform? What did you what do you want to do you think you can or do you want to improve on for next season?
Yeah, I think it was the format change for this season was actually really enjoyable with the two races. So two restarts is always exciting, and then there's always an opportunity in the second race if you mess up your first. I think overall, definitely to get better on the starts. I think the first race really showed that where I just kept getting passed left and right, and I couldn't get the Audi working for the first two laps, and then I self spun and put myself in a bad position there. But hopefully in the future, get a little better at the starts. Season overall went pretty well. We don't talk about Imola, but outside of that, I think it was a pretty enjoyable season.
Yeah, well, definitely good to hear. But Matthew Norberg, for one last time here this season, who do you want to thank for the spring 2022 season?
Just want to thank you guys for putting on a great show for us and setting up the league and running it for us. It's been a great experience. Any friends or family that's watching, hello, how's it going? And looking forward to racing in the alumni class next season.
Yeah, definitely a good chunk of you guys heading to that alumni category. So congrats on graduation and congrats on second place here tonight. Matthew Norberg, go enjoy it.
Thank you. Have a good one.
So that was Matthew Nordberg coming away in second place here tonight. And you just heard it right there. He definitely had the pace, and it was a matter of just continuing to produce that pace here tonight, even amongst the bad luck that he incurred. But I tell you what, who didn't have bad luck, or who maybe had bad luck but overcame it, it's Sean Campbell, your champion here for the second time in CIL history, and I think that comes as very little surprise to a lot of the viewers out there. But Sean Campbell, first of all, congratulations on another championship, and congrats on this win, because you had to work for it a little bit in that second race.
Yeah. I don't really have much to say. I'm kind of tired because I was driving pretty hard to catch Matthew at the end there.
Well, we'll make this quick. Walk us through Interlagos itself. We saw it hard to pass. So coming from kind of that mid-pack, what was that like for you here tonight?
I think Interlagos is really hard to pass at, but at the same time, as like if you can get alongside, you will stay alongside for a really long time because it lends itself really well to battling if you can make it alongside. So it's just a matter of, I guess, setting up the car in front setting up to get a better run than the car in front onto the straights so you can get alongside.
Yeah. Well, so along with that, going a bit of off of just the race. So you've won, I mean, twice the championship now. Congratulations. But we changed up the thing. You took an EOL every race by changing up your car. What's next? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to improve? What do you have in front of you, or what are you trying to look forward to, or possibly change for next season?
I'm not sure. I did the EOL mainly last season as well, just to get car knowledge for making the setups. But I'm not sure whether or not we're driving these cars anymore.
Yeah, that's always a question at the end of the end of the season. No one knows kind of what they want to do. Hopefully, if they things will change, but it's definitely interesting. Is there anything you want? Do you want to do GT3s again, or did you want to do open wheel or whatever?
I think GT3 is fun, but it's like just there's a lot to change in order to make it fit a certain driving style for somebody. So making the sets, it was just very vague, and now I know I set up shop to do that. Because you're never going to have a set that is tailored directly to you, and that's what I learned by doing this stuff. So maybe running a car that, I don't know, something like Porsche Cup that doesn't really require that much changing in order to, like, well, can't be changed at all really. Or maybe GT4 where the changes don't really make a ginormous difference. Something like that maybe. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
There you go. So, Sean and Randolph, congratulations both on this race, and had a lot of fun watching you drive as hard as you did up to the front and around, and all season long. And we've seen also comments in Discord, a lot of knowledge hanging out in that audience. So, Sean, congratulations. Let us know who makes this possible for you. Who do you want to thank?
Michael and Eric and Max again. It's like really majorly important that Neon Racing happened, I'll be honest, because I would probably not be doing iRacing anymore if us three didn't get on with Moritz and his team back in 2020 with Marshmallow Racing, which is still going. I'm happy for him. But then I got moved to, well, not got moved, I got opportunity to join RSR, so I'm glad that they allow me to still do this as well.
Yeah, well, we are too. Congratulations again. Always a pleasure to have you on track. And so, congratulations. Enjoy this one.
Thanks.
Sean Campbell, a man of many words, but the driver's champion for sure. And Josh, you said it. Providing setups to these guys week in, week out. Sean wanting to say, yeah, I'm the fastest on the track, and I'll even give you my knowledge and still beat you with it. So always fun to see Sean compete, and fun to always hear him when he talks about having to sweat a little bit to catch up Matthew Norberg. I know it looks so easy from up here in the booth to see Campbell do it, but a little hard work there for the Randolph Community College team. Joining us now, making it back to CIL after a little hiatus, is Nick Beaver from North Dakota State University, a crowd favorite here tonight in the chat. Lots of fans pulling for you here tonight, Nick. And what a second race you had. Walk us through Interlagos and just how fun it was to be back on track.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't think it would be my best track. It's been a track I've struggled with in the past, but oh man, does it put on some good racing. Tough crowd. It's so fun. It's so fun racing with these guys. I love that we can bang doors and kind of get away clean. Yeah, it's a blast to be back. The final semester last fall really limited my time in the sim, so it's good to be back finally, and such a fun race to come back to.
Definitely a fun race to come back to. So off of that, this past season and onto the next season, I mean, what are your thoughts? How did you like this new setup of the racing, as well as what are you looking forward to for next season?
Yeah, well, I'm just working my way back into the league, so I'm not entirely sure what's coming next. But this format is awesome. I think when you get longer races, you get more spread out, and I think we saw a little bit of that at the end of the second race, where everyone just kind of gets strung out. But at the same time, I think I'm a better long run driver, and the car was just coming in when I needed it most, which is a bummer. But I do think the racing is better when we can do two races instead. I think that's a lot more fun.
Congratulations, Nick, on such a strong return. Maybe bringing a second AMG Mercedes alongside Hagen has been keeping the Mercedes up front, but it's a tricky car that we have seen to put up front. So what's your secret, and what do you like about it that keeps you coming back to it?
There are two cars I've raced GT3 in the past, and the McLaren was the other one, and I think I intended to choose that, but I'm glad I didn't. I don't know what it is about this car, but once I could finally get it to rotate, it had such good drive off, and I feel like I could take some of the medium speed corners faster than others, so it had the downforce there too, I think. it was fun to come back to. The only practice I got was any practice before the race tonight. So a fun car. It's really easy to adapt to. You just kind of let the car do what it wants, and then respond that way. But yeah, this was a fun car to drive tonight.
Well, that's awesome, and it was, I think, fun for us to follow you along the journey. McLaren, Mercedes, no mistakes here. Just let us know who you want to thank and who you want to give a shout out to as you close this one out.
Yeah, I've got a ton of people watching. Like you said in the chat, I don't know who's all watching on Twitch tonight, but there's all the guys from the other league I run in. Mike, Jerry next door, they're watching. And it's so cool. And obviously, yes, go Bison. So go North Dakota. I'm not there anymore, so it's kind of not in my head. But yeah, I'll always represent the school. I think they treated me well, and it's cool that I finally got out of there.
Hey, that's awesome, man. Congratulations again on P3. Well learned tonight, and congratulations. Enjoy it, Nick.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so that was Nick Beaver you see on your screen one last time. Great return for Nick, and always fun to talk to after. You can just hear the excitement, and great to see all the fans pull from too. And it's hard not to root for a guy like that here tonight. But guys, as we wrap this one up, let's take one more look through our finishing order of race number 2 here tonight, led by Sean Campbell, Matthew Norberg, Nick Beaver, and the rest of your field here tonight. Taking a quick peek at the finishing order. But John, I'll turn it over to you first as we put the cap on this spring 2022 season. I know we talked about this new race format, and it's been a lot of fun. What was your favorite part of this road season?
Yeah, one thing that I want to mention is how there's a lot of teams that come and go from the CIL, right? And some stick around, some don't. The Clemson University team is one that has consistently stuck with it, no matter what happens in the previous race, in the previous season, et cetera, and they've steadily worked their way up. I've loved watching the Clemson University guys work their way up the field throughout, especially this season in particular. They have started to really make some massive inroads on consistent podium finishes, and it's great to see that. And I think that just goes to prove that, like, no matter how much experience your team might have, you can start to learn some things. I mean, if you just spend a couple of races racing against Sean Campbell, you're going to learn something, right? And so it's great to see these guys exchanging, setup information, thoughts on race strategy in the Discord and whatnot. And I think this season is just even more so upon earlier seasons proved how a team can really come together and start to put together some really, really strong and respectable performance years. So that's my big takeaway from this season. So, Josh, I'll hand it over to you. What do you like most about either this race or really this past season as well?
Well, the seasons always have their storylines. I've enjoyed seeing Sean Campbell in his variety pack of cars that he's been bringing to the front. I've enjoyed seeing programs come up, and I think Robert Morris University alongside Clemson University as they continue building that program, and we can see them all over the track, all over Twitter. And really embracing the sim racing side of things on track. I mean, I love seeing the different drivers, schools, varieties that we have involved here, and keep coming back. And I tell you what, I like the Discord, the knowledge sharing. When these drivers get back to the virtual garage, they are really pushing each other to be their best on track and in the classroom, as we saw tonight with the full list of graduates. And so it's an exciting movement to be a part of.
So guys, as we wrap this one on up, there's still one more CIL race left in the spring 2022 season. That's going to happen in 7 days' time as the Oval guys head to Phoenix for that finale of the Prospect and Premier Series. The Prospect Series will happen Monday night, but the Premier Series, be sure to tune on into that one. Same time, same place, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the green flag in that race. And quite kind of polar opposite to the races here tonight. We have 2 25 minutes here. We have a little extended oval race next week, so it'll be a lot of good strategy. We'll see tires come into play. We'll see a lot of various oval action that is quite different than what you saw here tonight. So be sure to tune on into that. But for one last time, congrats to Sean Campbell and that Randolph Community College team. Always a great performance they put on. And congrats to everybody who's finished here tonight. Kyle Bonin, I believe, comes away second overall. So congrats to him and Clemson as well. So for all of us up here in the booth, John, Josh, Christian, and myself, and everyone who made this possible this season, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to see you again soon. And be sure to tune in that 7 days time. So for one last time, big shout out to our graduates as well on screen. And hopefully we'll see them on the alumni category as well. So thanks again for tuning on in, everybody. And be sure to tune on in 7 days time. Good night, everybody.